Hey guys, quick disclaimer before we start. Some of the audio got corrupted while I was trying to edit, and I haven't been able to fix it, so I apologize for any awkward skips or silences that you may hear during the video. Other than that, there should be no other problems, so yeah, make sure to give the video a like, make sure to join my Discord, which is in the description below. Yeah, thanks for watching. It's been a while since the last episode, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the Party Chat Podcast. What you're listening to, episode 4.5. I am your host, James Flanagan, and with me is...
Terry the Outlaw. You know it.
Hell yeah. So yeah, it's been a while since the last episode. So yeah, we got quite a few topics today, and I'm just gonna jump right in. So so Final Fantasy VII, man, it's... This game has taken over my life for the past few days. I've had for so on April 10th the game came out, and my GameStop was having a lot of trouble getting me Final Fantasy VII. What happened was I was evacuated out of my school across the state, and they said, "Nah, man, we can't transfer it." And then a few days ago, I finally get the game. So, what are your thoughts so far, man?
I like it, I got a couple issues. One thing that bothers me is that the game makes you walk all the time instead of just being able to run. Really cuts down, really makes the playtime a bit longer than it has to be. Overall, it's great though. I think they're deviating from the original story a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
in case you're wondering, we're keeping this as spoiler free as possible. We'll only be talking about gameplay mechanics, and that's about it. My biggest issue with the game is how the ATB gauge works, because to even do something as simple as, to even like issue a command such as using an item, it requires you to beat up on an enemy.
yeah, otherwise it takes like 20 seconds for a damn thing to fill.
Yeah, and some characters, it's pretty risky for them to even try to fill their ATB gauge. Like I remember Barrett, in order for him to fill it, he has to be from a distance shooting. But in the time it takes for you to lock onto your target, someone will have closed in on Barrett and just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Other than that, it's an awesome game. I really love a lot of that they gave everyone. I mean, that they gave everyone a time to shine, especially the additional Avalanche crew with Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. More so Jesse. We're seeing a lot of more characterization with her. Like I said, not going to get into spoilers, but you know what I mean. Anyone that's played it, you should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's, I love the graphics. Easily the most attractive game I've seen in a long time.
Yes, and the motion capture is excellent. I,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and for those who haven't picked up Final Fantasy VII, the game also has a lot of reimaginings or rewritings of certain moments that never happened in the original PlayStation 1 game. Like I said, I won't.
It's definitely needed.
What do you say?
Well, it's definitely needed, You can't just rehash a 20-something-year-old story.
Oh, definitely. It was more of an observation than a complaint. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And the game clocks in at about 30 hours. I'm not saying that the game's worthless because it's a 30-hour game. I mean, like look at all the work they put into this. Imagine they tried to do this. Like, this would probably take up, I want to say, 2 install discs if they tried to go for at least the second half of disc 1.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a huge file. I'm glad they're splitting it up, and I'm glad we're getting our money's worth with this first game.
Yes. Speaking of money's worth, Terry and I, we both bought the deluxe edition. Funny story about that. Terry got his deluxe edition just a week before I could, so I just had to sit here and wait until I got that shit.
And he's already caught up to where I am. It's only been 2 days, I swear to God.
Yes, I'll do this thing where I like do what's called no lifing a game. I remember I no lifed Kingdom Hearts 1 and completed it in an entire weekend, which the game is Kingdom Hearts 1 is what, 24 hours long, I think. So yeah, it's for the kind of game that it is, and when it released, like I want to say 2002, which buying a new game for $40 in 2002 was like, no, 2002. Buying a new game at the time, that was your money's worth right there.
Oh, yeah, and you and I know life the second half of Borderlands 2 in like 2 days.
Yeah. So yeah, the game
That was...
clocks. Oh my God, I think we stayed up until Terry and I live in 2 different time zones. I live on the East Coast and Terry's on the West Coast, so I completed the game at 6 o'clock in the morning, and Terry completed it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I slept for most of the day that day. Like, I only sent Terry a few messages, but that was it.
Yeah, same. I was asleep until like noon that day.
Yeah, I only sent Terry a few messages saying, "Yeah, man, we beat the game," and I sent him a few memes. So yeah,
Yes, we do.
the game's 30 hours long, but don't let that discourage you because there's a lot, and I mean a lot of side content that I think you, the player, should interact with. There's one I told Terry about this earlier. I was actually playing this. It's called Whack-a-Box, where what you do is you go through a little range or whatever. I don't know what the term is called for it, and you just destroy these boxes with Cloud, and you have to get as many points as you can in the time allotted. I think it's a minute 45.
Okay.
And
I haven't tried it because I'm just rushing the game, but you know,
yeah, Terry did not do the quest any of the quests in Sector 7 and 5.
no, I
And a
can
little
keep it
tip,
simple.
what do you say?
Oh, nothing
Uh,
important. That is.
and a little tip for anyone that's hard up for Moogle coins: if you want to grind for Moogle coins, try playing the Whack-a-Box game over and over again, because even if you don't score any points, you can actually just leave the controller at your desk and wait for the time to run out, and you'll get a participation coin, which I don't see how the developers could have not seen that was going to be exploited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using the Moogle coins to buy skill books for everyone so we can get more skill points, so I'm not hard up waiting for everyone to level up. And the leveling system, what do you think of it?
Um. Well, you know, it works. I guess I haven't really noticed a direct issue with it.
Yeah,
Um.
yeah, the leveling, the upgrade, I mean, the upgrade system for when it comes to leveling is, the layout reminds me of the Crystarium from Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely has that kind of like sphere grid thing from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, it
Definitely
does.
echoes.
And Echo, wait, which one?
I said it definitely has echoes of the sphere grid system in Final Fantasy X.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this other Final Fantasy game. I forgot the exact name, but it had the word Echoes in it, and I hadn't played it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it does have that sphere grid in Final Fantasy, that sphere grid from Final Fantasy X in the 13 field with the Crystarium. And I've noticed that the game's borrowed quite like a ton from 13. Like the stagger system,
It seems to be running in the same engine as 15, honestly.
it does just from, yeah, it looks like it's running from the physics engine as well. 15 was an open world game. Uh, and 15 was famous for how many quests and how much content was in the game as well. Matter of fact, 15 is famous for being one of the few PlayStation popular PlayStation 4 titles that you can easily platinum, like God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn.
If you're into that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And 15, I think 15 was an okay game.
Yeah, it was. It happened. We
Yeah.
accepted it.
But man, after 15, people were like hot and heavy waiting for Final Fantasy. I almost said Final Fantasy 10. Just it was right on the tip of my tongue, nigga. And
You can't count much higher than 10. Sorry, folks.
what'd you
I said it can't count much higher than 10. Sorry, folks.
say? I'm getting roasted on my own show, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Just don't stop feeling
Yeah.
it.
No,
Let
another.
the angel flow through you.
Okay, what was that name? Palpatine. Okay, Palpatine. And I also want to talk about the playstyle of each character in your party. Cloud is Cloud's job in the Cloud's job is just to make big hits. From what I've seen.
DPS.
Yes, DPS. Barrett's job is to attack any enemies that cannot be reached by melee. Which is, anyone that's on the ground, like Tifa, Aerith, Cloud, anyone. Aerith,
Even though, unfortunately, his AI can't figure that out, and you have to switch to him all the time,
yeah,
disrupting the flow of combat.
yeah, I remember in the Sector 5 reactor, no, not Sector 5, in the Sector 7 reactor, Barrett was not, for some reason, was not shooting at any of the turrets, so I had to keep switching to him. And I noticed he would do that a lot in the demo as well, which, I don't know. And,
Good job, Square Enix.
yeah, Tifa's job is to increase the stagger gauge with her quick hits.
Hmm.
And Aerith's job is to provide any magical buffs. One of her abilities is that she can increase your attack power so long as you're standing in this little circle, kind of like Diablo 3. You remember my character from Diablo 3 where he'd way down this little square or whatever, and if you stand in it, you get healed and you get buffs?
Definitely remember that square. That square got us through the final fight.
It did. We've got we've got some stories from Diablo 3, but we're talking about Final Fantasy 7 right now. Oh man. And the voice work, my god, the voice work. Oh my god. Erica Lindbeck from Persona 5 when she voiced Oracle, Futaba, yeah, when she voiced Futaba, she did a great job voicing Jessica. And I keep forgetting the names of the other cast members, but I have nothing but props for them too. They did their job, especially Barrett.
Yeah, and all the motion cap actors.
And the mocap
Fantastic.
actors did great as well. I haven't played Resident Evil 3 yet, but I saw the mocap the I said mocap, didn't I?
Gonna have to cut that out.
Nah, I'll leave it in. You know, it's nothing. Yeah. What I was saying was that the mocap actresses for Claire and Jill look amazing. Someone did a comparison shot on Twitter. They look gorgeous, and they look exactly like who they're acting as. Yeah,
Right.
I know motion capture is pretty difficult to pull off with anime hairstyles as well, but they did their jobs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know they probably fashioned some wigs and like so for viewers who don't know, motion capture in video games is where they put you in this green suit and the suit is either green or black. And they had these balls that are put on certain parts of the body, mostly joints, so they can simulate your arms and legs moving around. So my theory is that they probably put on a wig and then like wrapped it up in that black sheet or whatever, and then put those balls on it. I can't say that right.
God,
We're terrible people.
this is what I deal with every day.
So that's my theory on how the motion capture for anime hairstyle works. I want to imagine like what if they use motion capture for Dragon Quest XI?
I wonder, because honestly, some of those animations look great. You know, that's another game that recently has very much impressed me with its graphics.
Yes. Imagine Akira Toriyama, everyone knows him, the artist for Dragon Ball. Imagine his art style, except it was mixed with motion capture.
I could see that,
Yeah.
especially for like a fighting game or something.
Definitely, like Tekken 7.
Oh yeah.
And so another thing we want to discuss about Final Fantasy 7 was the contents. Hold on. Sorry, there's a dude with a loud ass car passing by my window. Anyway, I wanted to discuss the contents of the deluxe edition. This is not going to be an unboxing video. This is just going to be us talking about our thoughts on the contents and what's in there.
Well, you know, there are three tiers. There's just the standard version with the game.
You know, and if you're lucky,
Um,
I think the standard version, don't quote me on this, might have come with the DLC for the Chocobo materia. No, I said Chocobo,
that
the
was in Chunk. Yeah.
Cactar. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's Deluxe, which came with the art book, steel book, and soundtrack.
Yes, the steelbook has a picture of Sephiroth on it, on next to one of the reactors of Shinra. The soundtrack has. Hold on, let me open this up real quick. The soundtrack has at least 12 tracks on it. The
I think
track.
13.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's 12. I'm looking at it right now. The track list is the pre. I'm only gonna name tracks that stand out to me. The prelude, the Shinra theme, the battle theme, the main battle theme, um, the and Lay Down Some Rubber, which Terry and I had like a 10-minute discussion on our thoughts on the rubber theme. The song is called Lay Down Some Rubber. It's during this motorcycle chase. That, I know I said it wouldn't be spoiling anything, but there's this crazy motorcycle chase that just, oh my god, it gets your blood running.
Oh yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yes. Along with the music, like the music, oh my god. Do you like? I really love a lot of the original tracks they injected into the game instead of redoing and rehashing all of the tracks from Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
Yeah, and Terry and I had a last night. Terry and I had a little listening session where we check out the CDs, and oh man, I hope they release a full soundtrack disc or whatever, or a vinyl, because this needs to be put on a CD.
Yeah, very much agreed.
Yeah, there should be. I really do hope they fashion it onto a vinyl though. I'm doing this thing right now where I'm trying to like do some decorations, and I have vinyl where I hang vinyls around my room, except I frame them. So I'd have like Guns N' Roses' "Appetite for Destruction" and Kendrick Lamar's "Damn" next to each other.
And
I love that. I think Kendrick knew that was going to become a meme. Just damn.
it is pretty meaningful.
Yeah. And finally in the deluxe edition is, I'm trying to pull it out right now.
Oh yeah, pull it out.
Is the I said steelbook for a second. Is the art book. Now Square Enix is not new to this.
Those are some wonderful looking drawings.
Yes, the environment. Right, so the art book has everything you'd expect: the environment, the characters. I think it has some bios in there as well. It also has weapons, consumable objects like potions. So yeah, it has everything you'd expect in there.
And it's bound pretty well. You know, it's an issue I've had with art books previously, especially Persona Q2 Showtime Edition was
Yeah, you told me you had a problem with that.
It falls apart. Yeah, it falls apart if you pull it too tight. But I don't feel like I have that issue with the remake, with the Final Fantasy VII Remake art book or any of the contents really. They're very high quality.
They are, and at first that was my issue with both Kingdom Hearts 3 Deluxe Edition and Final Fantasy VII Remake's Deluxe Edition, but I got used to it. When I got it delivered to me, not delivered, when I drove to GameStop with my sister to get it, and I unboxed it after we got home, I sent Terry a message on Discord describing it as, quote, a kid's book because of how it felt.
Yeah, it's very high quality though. I love the paper stock they use for it.
Yeah, if you're holding it right now, it feels like a kid's book, you know, like a teacher would read to the students or whatever. But yeah, the contents are very much worth it. And finally neither of us have this version, and we're never going to shell out this much money, is the first class edition.
Yeah, it is a
$330
version.
No, sir.
Final Fantasy VII Remake that comes with everything included in the deluxe edition, but also includes a
figurine of Cloud Strife on his motorcycle.
Yeah, and I wanted it, honestly. If it was $150 or so, I may have shelled out for it, but $330. Come on now.
Like, dude, the collection edition of Cyberpunk 2077 costs $100 less than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's pretty miserable.
Cyberpunk came with stickers, decals. I said it right this time. Earlier, I pronounced the word decals as decals. Terry and I, Terry and I were having a conversation. I pronounced it like that. It comes with decals. It comes with an art book, a statue, and I think it comes with a steelbook as well. So it's worth the $250. And I think it comes with you know how people have patches on those vests, you know, like punk rock people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it comes with those kinds of patches where you just iron it into your vest.
Okay. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, but what drove this up to $300, the 7 Remake deluxe not deluxe first class edition, was Cloud himself. So yeah,
Tell me you wouldn't pay $300 for a night with Cloud Strife.
Yes. Come on, man. Yeah, who wouldn't? And you got him on your shelf. I don't have any room. Even if I could afford the first class edition, there's not enough room in my room for Cloud to go up anywhere.
Yeah, no
But
kidding.
yeah, if you're
Yeah,
really
that'd be hard.
if you have the money and you really want to get that statue, then go hit up GameStop. It's $300. Well, you said 330. I thought it was $300.
Oh no, 330.
330. Dang, did it go up or something? I remember it being $300. Or is it on Square Enix's store?
It might just be West Coast, East Coast shit.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what California's tax is. Virginia's tax is what, 0.6 or something?
Some
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I guess we said everything that has been said before about Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Deluxe Edition. So yeah, and also I highly recommend playing this game if it's your first time getting into Final Fantasy, or if you've never played Seven and you want to try it out. Even if you haven't played Seven, I recommend you play the original as well because that game's just as good.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely a recommend for me for anyone who's fond of action RPGs in general.
Yes, and one more. And speaking of action RPGs, I wanted to say one more thing about it. Seven Remake is a fine example of a marriage between action RPGs and turn-based. It has you'll spend as much time in the menus as you will in combat. Well, that's just an exaggeration, but you get the idea.
Yeah, it's a similar hybridity to the Xenoblade series.
Yeah, I've never
Uh,
played Xenoblade. I have a lot of friends that played it in high school, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
yep, just having a lot of to do with cooldown and
Yeah,
timing and movement and all that.
yeah, well, especially with the ATB system and how you need to kick off certain abilities, like Cloud's Braver ability, one of his best abilities in the early game. You need to. There are enemies that are able to just quickly dodge that shit. Well, I hope no one heard me tap the record button. So on to our next topic. I wanted to discuss our thoughts on the beta of the new upcoming Guilty Gear game coming out called Guilty Gear Stride. The beta was a closed beta, so Terry and we participated in a lottery set up by Arc System Works where they would randomly select anyone that submitted I can't even talk right now. Anyone that signed up for their little lottery on who got to download it and who didn't. And Terry and I were lucky enough to be admitted into it.
Yeah, and it was one of the first raffles like that I've ever won, so it was a pretty exciting moment for me personally.
Same here. I've never won a rap. As a matter of fact, I have a small story to tell you before we even get to talking about Guilty Gear. So in senior year, my school had like a little after party for prom where they had raffles and shit. My, and my mom, she knows about this story too well, and Jeremiah too, if you're listening. What happened was that I had left the after party too early, and I got a message from Jeremiah the next morning on Facebook saying, "Yo, dude, you won a 50-inch 4K smart TV in the raffle."
Damn. So what happened to it?
It was given away because I was absent. Yeah,
Oh,
so so this being the first raffle I legitimately won just made me proud. And not only that, but a year later I would get no, not a year later, but like later on in what Christmas, like, which it was like June or whatever. Later on in Christmas, I would get a smart TV. So yeah, I'm content with that.
okay.
Anyway, this is the first raffle we've ever won, is what I'm saying. So thoughts on it. First, I would like to talk about the lobby system. Now, Arc System Works is known for their unique lobby systems from Blaze Blue to Guilty Gear, with you setting a little virtual avatar as one of the characters from the game. This one I did not like.
Yeah, it was a little complicated, a little poorly laid out. Hopefully, they fix that before the main game is
Yes.
released.
So to give a description of it, I don't have any footage to put up for it, but use your imagination or just try to look up footage of it. But what they have you in a 2D side scroller, and all of your characters are made of, it's basically pixel art, something you'd see off of the NES. And it's your own character that you get to create, not any other character in the game. Not Soul Bad Guy, Kai Kiske. I hate that his name is pronounced that way, Kai Kiss, because the letter E at the end makes me want to pronounce it as Kiske.
Yes, and that's how I've always pronounced.
Yeah,
Still do.
and I actually have a reason to pronounce it like that because in the anime Bleach, there's a character named Kisuke Urahara.
And he pronounces it Kisuke.
Yes. But anyway, like they don't have pixel art of Kai Kisuke, no Mei, no Axel, no nothing, and like so you make your own creator character, and the lobby system is where you step up next to someone, and then you get into a fighting pose, and then they have someone else has to get next to you and accept your request for a fight.
Right, and that's kind of just it shouldn't have to work like that, man. It's a little archaic.
I know, and the worst part is that the news section takes up a good chunk of the screen.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but what I liked about the gameplay, it's Guilty Gear. I missed the auto combo system, or either that, or I did not know how to turn on the auto combos because I was fiddling around in that menu and it would not let me turn on auto combos. Maybe they're gonna bring it into the full version. Who knows?
Hope
But
so. I'm willing to bet there's some features they cut just because they had to.
yeah, that's true. It's a beta and everything. You can't have access to a lot of the main features you'll see in a beta. It's not the full version yet. And as for the gameplay, I enjoyed playing as Soul Bad Guy. He's one of my mains from the last few Guilty Gear games, which is Exerd, Sign, and Revelator. But my actual main in the Exerd titles is Eno.
Ah, I'm sorry. I got some bullshit in my throat.
You good?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. There's just a lot of bullshit in this room, bro. So,
And Terry and I, we said we were never well, I didn't even find out a way to privately hook up with someone on through the lobby system. But Terry and I never got to play against each other because we have these crazy fights in the Exerd games where we play as Kai and Soul, and shit gets intense.
yes, Kai was my main before I even met you, so I don't think I picked him because of you.
Yeah, and I got into Guilty Gear in 2017, and my first main was Soul, mainly because he's basically the Ryu of Guilty Gear, and I chose him because, like, why not? He's on the front cover. And then as I started experimenting with more characters, I decided to stick with Eno because of her tricky style of play with the guitar, with her guitar, her I can't. Sorry about this. There's a little inside joke between Terry and I that I keep laughing
Oh, it's
about.
an inside joke, all right.
With her guitar, her auto combos, her projectiles, the whole nine yards. And another main of mine, it has to be. She's really really tricky to play as is Ramlethal Valentine.
You're such a terrible liar.
And you played as Elfelt, I believe, right?
Okay, fuck, you got me. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, I
here and
wasn't even
there.
saying that. I wasn't even saying that.
Nah, but yeah, yeah, here and there, but definitely I'm gonna stick with Kai.
yeah,
Um, I love the redesign of some of the characters in
me too.
Strider.
It's got this modern, more hand drawn, hand animated feel to it. It's it it looks and at that sometimes whenever during some animations when they play out, they look like a typical Unreal Engine game. But then there are other times where they just shine on their own.
Yeah, and to me, it looks like things have kind of gone back in time because all the characters look younger,
Yeah,
and Kai is missing his ponytail.
yeah,
His
and
hair just
Kai.
hasn't been.
Not only that, but Kai isn't wearing any formal clothing. He's wearing what I can only describe as street clothes, something a king
Yeah,
or
yeah,
someone in his position would not wear.
yeah. It looks very casual as opposed to the outfit that a lot of people have become used to in the series now that he's a king and all that.
Yeah, and not Soul, who was it? Faust scares me in this game. I mean, in the beta.
Oh yeah, that
Faust
is.
legitimately terrified me. Faust, for those who don't know, is the comedic relief character of the Guilty Gear games. And although he does have an element of horror to him, he also has a lot of combos and tricks and moments in the story where he's also played off for laughs as well. But he legitimately reminded me of Michael Myers in some of his animations.
Yeah, it was a little too. He looked very monstrous, to put it simply.
Yes, his I said fingernails. His fingers were longer. I think he's taller than before.
Yeah, definitely more hunched over, kind of goblin looking, if I had to
This
put it in
is
comparison.
yeah. I don't hate the redesign or anything. It's just I don't know, man. This
It looks really cool. It's just for a character like Faust, it's very off-putting when he's not supposed to be that intimidating to begin with.
yeah. I mean, like Faust was known for some of the weird stuff he can get away with in his combos, like opening a door out of nowhere and slamming you to the other side of the arena.
You know, Reaper looks great too.
Yes. And who was that? He was that ninja dude. I call myself a Guilty Gear fan. The ninja guy who was a president in his own village. I'm trying to remember. Um,
Oh, Chip.
Chip
Yeah.
Zaniff. Chip Zaniff was the guy I played as the most in the beta. Because of how I'm when it comes to fighting games, I like to choose speed characters just to throw my opponent off. Terry knows this, like how I used to play as Talon in Soul Calibur, and he'd still manage to kick my ass.
Huh? Yeah. I'm glad you acknowledged it.
Normally, this would be the part on screen where it showed gameplay footage of Soul Calibur, but I didn't bother capturing any, mainly because one, I am terrible going up against Terry, and two, you would hate watching it.
16-0.
I was that bad. I'm a Raphael main, in case you're wondering about Soul Calibur. I switched from Talum to Raphael. Terry had been trying to convert me, been trying to put me on to playing as Raphael. I kept going, no, no, no. But yes.
Yeah, now you see why I like him. I mean, you still lose every fucking round,
But
but I
I'm,
mean, hey,
but at
I
least,
love you, man.
you know, he's putting up a better fight than Talum could ever hope to.
Yeah.
Yeah. May. I did not get to play as May. I never got to play against her either, so I can't say anything about her.
I'll say for Kai, he plays very similarly to how he did in Revelator. Not much change. He's a little bit
Yes.
faster and he doesn't have quite as much range, which I don't mind per se, but
Yes. Yeah, I did not get to
yeah,
play as Kai either. I only got to play against him. His projectiles are deadly. If you get caught in them, then it's over.
oh yeah, that's bread and butter for a Kai man right there.
Yes. And I know someone Axel, if you play against him, he's tricky to play against. And one more thing to note about the beta is that on the character select screen, they divide the characters not by order or alphabetical order or however the game designer puts it like in other fighting games. They divide them by their gameplay style. And at the very bottom, Axel is put in the tricky category. And there's a good reason for that. If you played the Exurg games, then you'd know why.
Yeah, it seems to me like I wonder if that's something that's gonna stay in the full game. It seems like it'd be kind of hard to organize an entire roster like that.
It does because that means you have to put in more testers, more QA testers. You know, just have to write more notes about it. It would take a lot of time to try and decide. Okay, do we want Soul as balanced or do we want him as speedy or tricky?
Not to mention the fact that it's kind of hard to decide what any of those even mean.
That's
I wouldn't
true.
call him once. I'd call him the character I'm used to.
Yes, and like, what's his name? Axel was obviously tricky. I mean, I had trouble every time I'd play arcade mode and I'd go up against Axel. I'd actually let out an audible, "Oh God, not this again."
Hazama is.
What'd you say?
I said Hazama is cancer.
Another inside joke of ours. So basically, I was playing against someone in Blaze Blue Cross Tag, and you can actually set something as your header. Like you can customize it and type whatever you want out. Someone typed in Hazama is cancer.
Whatever that means.
And in case you're wondering, Hazama is terrible to play against in Blaze Blue Continuum Shift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Now
now I
characters.
personally always preferred Guilty Gear to Blaze Blue with that.
Me too, me too. Guilty Gear, I love Guilty Gear's steampunk aesthetic. Blaze Blue, no offense to the artists or the writers, Blaze Blue just feels a bit too anime for my taste.
Yeah, for me it's also a matter of the soundtrack. Guilty Gear
Yes.
has
It,
this
Guilty
rock
Gear has this heavy metal, no, not heavy metal, classic metal soundtrack.
as opposed to the more synth inspired soundtrack of Blaze Blue, which again, nothing wrong with it. It's just not my cup of tea,
Yeah, and
personally.
earlier I said anime. It was too anime for me. That was what I really meant to say was that it was a bit too more, shonen tropey for me. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do. And
Yeah,
Guilty Gear's got more going for it. I mean, the story of either game is, let's be honest, a little
it's
bit
confusing.
convoluted, not
It's
that
crazy.
great. But I still, it's still a great game.
Yes. Now, characters we're hoping to see. I hope my main, I hope my Exurd main, Eno, makes it back in. And
I'm
Terry and
sure the
I
fuck
have
you do.
what is?
I said, I'm sure the fuck you do.
Oh man, and um, Terry and I discussed this right before we started recording, right after we stopped procrastinating too, because we spent the better part of 30 minutes procrastinating and talking about random shit. But we
Uh,
don't think that Eno is gonna make it in here, and Terry makes some valid points too about how this is a reboot, not a new install. I mean, not new installment, not a sequel.
yeah, it's like I see Kai's design. He looks way younger and not as experienced in life as he was in Revelator, for instance, which is one of the latest in the continuum. Hence why I think that it's going to be a kind of a reinstatement back to the roots, kind of redefining the series.
Yeah, and I hope if this is the case, I hope RoboKai makes it in.
I don't. I fucking hate that guy.
Yeah, I also, if it makes you feel better, Sari, I actually had a lot of beef with playing against Eno in X2 because her boss fight was terrible.
I just didn't like how in X2 you had to kill every enemy by
Bruh,
doing a finisher, which just bothered me.
no. And the instant kill moves, I can't wait to see the new ones.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Or practicing mine to use against you in Revelator.
Yeah, I remember I kept losing a fight because I was very, very close to beating you, and I kept trying to activate the instant kill move, which requires you to put the fat of your palm onto all four face buttons, and then hit downright circle, and hope you hit them.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I made Terry laugh so hard. I forgot what joke I told him. Oh no, it was about this. It was this joke from Sunny in Philadelphia, which I have yet to see that show. But it made him laugh so hard that he put the controller down, and I just destroyed him.
Oh no, I didn't put it down. I actually dropped it.
Oh,
You
you
killed me
dropped it.
while I
My
was
bad.
AFK. Yeah, you killed me while I was AFK.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was debating with myself: should I keep beating him up, or should I?
I mean, it's the first win he's had in like months, so I just let him have it.
Yes.
It's fine.
The only wins I get are in arcade mode and practice mode in any fighting games.
You're welcome.
Oh man. So I'm looking forward to that. It doesn't have a release date yet. I want to say it's probably going to come out in 2021 and not anytime soon because of all the crazy shit going on around us.
Yeah, I'd not. I think it was slated for a 2020 release, but I'm definitely not going to be surprised if it gets pushed
Yeah,
back.
and GameStop and a lot of brick and mortar stores like EB Games in Canada is also not doing any pre-orders for it yet. So that could mean it's going to come out way later.
Yeah, which isn't surprising, but it is kind of disheartening. Whole thing put a huge stop. So many things that we just come to expect by this point,
Oh, yeah, could you
and
say
it's
that again? My headphones fell out and it could hear you. They could actually hear you echoing against my mic.
just saying,
And
this whole virus thing has put a lot of strain on not just the games industry, but a lot of industries.
yes. Oh
So I'm
man.
not surprised that some of the chain effect of that is a game getting released quite a bit later. It's not shocking at all.
Yes. And I hope, and like I said, I hope this is resolved soon because Xenoblade Chronicles 1, what is it, Definitive Edition is slated for a release in late May. And many are speculating that it might get delayed because of all this, especially with Japan's proximity to China.
Yep.
Yeah, which I actually want to check that out because I've never gotten the chance to play any Xenoblade games. I came very close to playing Xenoblade 2, but I decided to buy Street Fighter collect the whole Street Fighter collection on Switch instead of Xenoblade 2. And you said you've played. Did I just? Yeah, you said you played what? The first one. On to a new segment of ours is where we review games that Terry and I have either played concurrently or have played co-op on. And today, I wanted to talk. I wanted to do a review of Saints Row the Third, this 9-year-old game that Terry and I played co-op together on.
And just finished it a couple weeks ago, in fact, and
Yes.
that was quite the game right there.
So for Terry has never played a Saints Row game, so I spent the better part of an hour giving him a plot summary of Saints Row 1 and 2. I remember I tripped up Terry at one point explaining him the plot of Saints Row 2. I said, quote, "and everybody fucking dies," end quote, and Terry was in disbelief.
Yeah, thanks.
I wish I was recording that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. So Terry has never played Saints Row before, and I also purposefully neglected to tell him about any of the crazy and unpredictable moments about in this game.
And there were quite a few. It was definitely one of those games where you don't know what's coming next.
Yes. So yeah, for context, I played Saints Row the Third back in 2011. I got it as a Christmas gift on the 360 in Christmas of 2011, and I wouldn't get the PlayStation 3 version until 2 years later, and I also wouldn't get to play the DLC until now. I have never played the DLC ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still passing on that, but I have beaten the entire campaign with you.
Yes.
So.
Terry and I have also not gotten the bad ending. I just told him to watch it on YouTube because playing the final mission was not fun.
Yeah, no, it was bullshit aroma.
Yes. So, what we're gonna be doing is talking about our thoughts on the story, the setting, and the gameplay, and overall thoughts on it. So this new game, it doesn't take place in Stillwater anymore. Which, for those who don't know, Stillwater was where the first two games took place, and it's heavily based off of Detroit, Michigan. This time, this game takes place in the city of Steelport. In the city of Steelport, it takes place in. I said not takes place. I just stumbled over my words. Anyway, Steelport is based off of the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mainly because both Pittsburgh and Steelport are known for its industry, for its industrialization and being revolved around, the making of steel.
Right.
Yeah.
The name.
And so, gonna be honest, I kind of didn't really enjoy this environment because, well, the city was way smaller than its predecessor. I know you can't say anything about the city because you haven't played Saints Row 1 and 2, but yeah, city was way smaller and the locales didn't really stick out to me. But but the interiors were really awesome. I'm talking like the cribs, they were really awesome, especially when you upgrade them as a stronghold.
Yeah, I did notice I got myself lost a lot. I just couldn't pick out any defining landmarks to help me find my way through the city.
Yeah, the only unless you're in downtown, which is where all the taller skyscrapers are at, you're going to get very lost in this game without the navigator.
Yeah, it was impossible to get from point A to point B without setting it on my GPS.
Yes, and the GPS is really nice. I wish more games with more urban open world games, if you know what I mean, like along the lines of GTA. I wish more urban open world games the would have the little GPS route in the game world instead of just leaving it on the map.
Yeah, that was nice. The arrows in the middle of the road telling us where to go.
Yes, Watch Dogs also does this by leaving it on the road itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for the setting. Now the story, I'm gonna be honest, the story's pretty okay. Nothing too special, but at the same time I'm not happy with some of the decisions made with, a certain character.
The editing was kind of poor for one thing.
Yeah, the editing was really, really poor because there's one of the big bosses of the game gets killed in the starting act. What happens is that I actually had to explain this to Terry after he died. What happens is that the dude gets a giant ball gets crushed by a giant ball, and the thing is that you don't hear that he's dead until later in the story from other characters. As a matter of fact, I told Terry that the cutscene was edited very poorly, and that when the ball fell, we assumed that it was just in a different room, and Loren was already walking away.
Yeah, it was hard to distinguish whether or not it actually fallen on top of him from the way it was shot.
Yes. But the script of this game is really hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of good jokes, great voice cast, very well
Yes.
delivered.
Yes, the cast was amazing. I know they had Rob Van Dam from SmackDown, or I think he used to be on Raw. They had Hulk Hogan. They had the adult film star Sasha Grey voice as one of the supporting cast members. They had who else they have? I'm trying to remember someone. One character that stuck out to the both of us was Kinsey, and the two of us called her Futaba.
After the Persona 5 character,
Yes,
yeah.
she looks and acts a lot like Futaba. She isolates herself a lot, and she has brick red hair. Yeah,
Yep. Kind of pulling a radical head.
I know. And the other cast members had their time to shine, especially the main character who, for obvious reasons, is unnamed. I really like Troy Baker's voice. I also loved Laura Bailey's performance. Matter of fact, Terry and I played as female character. I mean, female voices 1 and 2. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I believe Terry's so each voice has a different accent. For male voice 1, it's Troy Baker. Male voice 2 is an African American voice. Male voice 3 is a British voice.
Yeah, a lot of good performance on the voices and a lot of star-studded cast. I believe Johnny Young Bosch was involved, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Johnny Young Bosch was in there as well as Daniel Dai Kim for Johnny Gat. He's been in Daniel Dai Kim is the series OG. He's been here since Saints Row 1.
And also, Yuri Lowenthal played a couple different characters, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
and in the DLC, Yuri Lowenthal plays as uh he plays as the director.
I
Which, but
see, okay.
which, by the way, the Gangsters in Space DLC was disappointing. They were hyping it up as if it was going to be like it was going to tie into one of the endings of the game, which is where actually no. Never
Yeah.
mind. I just sorry about that. I just tapped against my mic on accident. The gameplay is excellent. This is third-person action at its finest. Saints Row 1 and 2, you did not have a zoom button where you held down L1 or L2 to zoom in. For Saints Row 2, you had to click R3 to zoom in on your weapon and then shoot.
That sounds miserable.
Yes. The game Saints Row 2 was released in 2008.
Oh.
Yep. Now, the gameplay, though, like I said, is awesome. The third-person action is awesome. The weapon choice is.
Oh, yeah.
We have to talk about that weapon.
We do, yeah, and we have to
No.
mention that. We have to mention that night.
You know what? I don't even want to. I don't even want to talk about that weapon in explicit detail. You have access to the internet. You have access to Google Chrome viewer. You can look it up yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not looking to get my bro demonetized here.
Not
No,
not only that,
sir.
but a lot of my family members watch this channel too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So the weapon choice is awesome.
Anyone who
What?
anyone who's been around the block with video games knows exactly the weapon we're talking about.
Yes. This game sold millions of copies too, so you should know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and my favorite weapon was the military SMG. It had very awesome fire rate, especially when you upgrade it as well. And another favorite weapon of mine was the automatic shotgun.
Yeah, I preferred melee weapons generally. There's something just so visceral about the hits in that
Yeah, the
weapon.
melee in that game is oh my god. The way from the sound effects to the way the screen shakes, it feels visceral.
Yeah,
And
I also appreciated the variable zoom of the sniper rifle.
yeah, the
Something I
variable zoom
very
was awesome. Instead of hitting one of the back buttons or the triggers to zoom in, you hit the face button like triangle and square.
It was that worked.
Yeah, and the specialist weapons are amazing. There's one weapon where you get to call in. What you do is you aim over a target and paint a laser over it, and then it sends in an airstrike.
And in fact, there's a whole mini game based off destroying as many vehicles as possible with that weapon.
Yes, well, and the side missions in Saints Row the Third are amazing. A lot of these side missions are just older ones from the other games. A few of them are new. There's one called Tiger Escort where you have to drive around a tiger and avoid the news media and avoid getting scratched by the tiger. Otherwise, he makes you crash. No, I did not make
Yeah,
up everything I said.
and I got to be the driver.
No,
Luckily,
the way co-op works in Saints Row is that whenever you play escorts, it's randomized.
yeah, it was. Speaking of escort, remember that one time you pounded me to
So
the bus?
in this game, there's also another form of escort. It's any Saints Row OG knows about this. What you do is you have to drive around a couple while they get the business done in the back seat. And I told Terry to turn off the music in his car so he could listen to the funny dialogue from the couple. But it turns out that yeah, my character.
Yeah, because you got in the back seat when the mission started, so yeah, it was you.
Yeah, and it didn't take me until a couple seconds into the mission to wonder why any dialogue wasn't playing. And then I clipped into the car on accident when I was turning the camera, and I saw my character sitting in the back.
Yep,
Oh my god. Terry and I had a lot. We even mentioned it on our Discord server. It was that bad.
it was a night to remember. Yeah.
Another side mission is my favorite. It's mayhem, where you just go around causing damage to as many things as possible while racking up the cost to the city.
You know, one I liked for the comedic value was insurance fraud,
Yes,
where it was
everyone loves that mission.
ragdolling
That side
vehicles.
mission.
Yeah, it's ragdolling yourself in front of vehicles to
Yes. So
get
insurance
out of
fraud,
it.
oh my god, is where you ragdoll yourself in front of vehicles to get insurance money because it was a car accident. And then if you get your adrenaline meter high up enough, you can get launched far across the city if you're skillful enough.
Skillful, he calls it.
Getting hit by cars is skillful.
In Saints Row, it is. Yeah, Saints Row is a game definitely with its own sense of logic, to put it mildly.
Yes. Ow. Sorry, I was trying to get something out of my hair. I just tapped my headphones. I hope my mic didn't pick that shit up. And another side mission is called Professor Genki's something something. I have a hilarious story to tell about this mini game. Professor Genki's I'll just call it Professor Genki. So the Professor Genki mini game is where you have to go through a gauntlet. I mean, not a obstacle course while shooting enemies under a strict time limit and no regenerating health. Terry just Terry decides to strategize during the whole thing. Okay, I'm gonna take the right. And then when I'm at the right, you need to distract the enemy. And I actually cut Terry off in the middle of his sentence saying, yo man, just don't talk, just shoot.
And yeah, that's apparently how it went. I did not realize there was a time limit involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got really mad at Terry and told him to shut up and shoot.
that is a habit I have to think my way through. I don't require.
And the reason why I brought this story up is because in Dragon Quest Heroes, in the first Dragon Quest Heroes game, two of the main characters have this dynamic. The male character strategizes and goes on about strategy before a big fight, and then his sister, or however she's related to him, tells him to shut up and fight.
Yeah, that's reminiscent of us in a lot of games, particularly Borderlands for one.
So yeah, Professor Genki, that's one of my favorite mini games, and there's also, speaking of Professor Genki has his own DLC where you can go through one of his advanced crash courses, or whatever you want to call it. It's awesome.
Now that I've got to take a look at.
Yeah, and fun fact, Rob Van Dam from SmackDown or Raw, it's been many years since I last watched WWE, okay? Rob Van Dam from SmackDown or Raw voices as one of the announcers in this game, and behind the scenes, he was told, he was never given context as to what he was announcing. He said, yo, man, you're an announcer for this crazy game show, we're not going to tell you what the project is for, just read this off.
Yeah, it shows.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game, and I very much had a lot of fun with it.
Me too,
But
and Terry and I are planning on later down the road, whenever he finds it, we're going to play Saints Row 4 together, and there's a lot I have to say about that game.
oh yeah, look forward to a review of that on this channel.
Oh
So.
man, there's a lot to unpack with Saints Row 4. I told Terry, Terry's under an embargo where he's not allowed to look up any details about this game, because I want to surprise him.
Not that I mind.
Yeah. Just like how I did with Saints Row the Third, where I told him not to look up anything because this game gets crazy.
Yeah, it does. And remember, there was one moment that he and I were on a self-imposed time limit.
Oh no. Yes, tell the story.
Yeah, so there's a certain mission in the game where you have to run naked down, what was it, a jail cell?
No, it was a strip club.
That was a strip club. You have to run naked through a strip club while fighting off enemies. The weapon I chose was
That weapon.
demonetization itself. And it was around the time that my grandparents usually pop their head into my room to say goodnight to me. So here I am on my giant flat screen TV playing video games with a friend, and two naked women are running down a corridor beating people up with demonetization. And so we were on a time limit to get our clothes back and end the mission before my grandparents saw what I was playing.
Which, for the
Granted,
record,
the nudity is blurred, but still.
yeah. Which, for the record, we beat the mission just I don't know how many minutes it was, but it was just minutes before his parents came in and gave him his cat, and yeah.
Yeah, it was about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
About 3 minutes.
Oh man, I
He
even told Terry
died.
at one point. I even told Terry, "Don't talk, just shoot."
Yeah, exactly. We were not friends until that mission was over.
Oh my god, I remember when I first played that mission when I was 11 years old. No, when I was 12 years old, and oh my god, I had to make sure. So my 360 was only at my dad's house. That's how I could only play that game at the time. So the young 12-year-old me had to make sure one weekend that my dad was asleep while I was playing that game. Because my dad used to live in a one-bedroom apartment just next, and his door was next to the TV. So if he popped his head out, he would see what was playing.
Yeah, that's no blunder.
Oh man, there are so many other hilarious stories we can pick. That's how you know
Oh,
that. What'd you say?
In short, it's a game I would recommend. Honestly,
Yes.
it's a fantastic time, especially if you got a friend or two along.
Yes, it's a pretty awesome co-op game, and it's one of the and with what we just explained, it's one of those games where the developers had fun with it, and you know you can extrapolate a lot of hilarious stories from it. And I wish more and more games would have that, where you just get more and more hilarious stories out of it instead of just being this dark, depressing art house film or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of games these days are going for gritty.
Yes, like even Uncharted 4, which
Yeah, it's something needs to stop. I think we need to get back to the whole couch co-op thing. Playing games with your brother.
yeah. And speaking of couch co-op, Terry and I are also playing. Whenever we meet, we're playing on. We're planning on playing at least one Tales game on the same couch together because I looked through my entire library. Those are the only games, with the exception of a few others, that are couch co-op.
Yeah, and that's just a lost art, man.
It
Really,
is.
I'm glad Saints Row the Third kind of bridging the gap between the more modern online co-op and also allowing for split screen.
Yes. And I was planning on at least doing like a short little one-off live stream, just like of us playing the game for an hour, and then I shut off the stream, playing Saints Row 4 for an hour.
It's a great idea. I'm down for
Yeah,
it.
and Saints Row 4 has an all-star cast area that I won't tell you about, but yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. So
So yeah,
Terry
closing.
and
Oh,
commenters, do me a favor and please do not let Terry know any of what he should expect in Saints Row 4. I mean, like the cover ruined the cover of the game kind of ruins it, but that's only yeah, that's
tip of the iceberg.
yes, that's only a tip of the iceberg. Was I was trying to say. Oh
All
man.
right.
So yeah, that clears it up for this episode of the podcast. Please leave a like below and make sure to join our Discord server. We have a link to that below, in the description below, and that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. I'm James Flanagan, aka Lunar Nocturne, and yeah, that's the end of this podcast.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man.